Moses was taken quite by surprise. This burning bush has always puzzled exegetes. What was going on? If that was the colossal event in which the name of God was revealed, what is the colossal nature of what we have right before us and in our hands? We have a choice while on earth. Will we go towards, tendentially, the burning bush of the real presence, or towards that burning sphere of good and evil and much in between, which is on a screen and which has become essentially the center of focus of all the civilized world? We have become a planet of adorers of a screen. It is not the same as occupations of old. Here the mind and the soul are taken in, absorbed and made addicted. Things are very different when in great stillness we await a word like Moses and take off what is linking us to the world, treading with, as it were, no contact with the earth, there where the angels tread in fear. We leave behind mobile phones and even messages in the head when we come into the sacred presence. Take off thy shoes, for the ground on which thou standest is holy ground. That means that all human words should be excluded. Alas, it is not that long in time since the mentality in many of our churches became that of a human encounter and of entertainment. The burning bush is not the center of attention. Man, okay, trying to make things more attractive, but understanding completely how it's done is in the center. God is far more free to attract by his own magnetic power those who give him space, sacred space, well protected. Far more capable than we are to think we can entertain in God's house. The psalm is a beautiful psalm in which the writer addresses his own soul, inviting it to give thanks to God. These psalms are beautiful hymns when sung as they were meant to be. This is the kind of making interesting that we need to do in our liturgy. Sing what is meant to be sung. Let the liturgy have its potentiality exploited rather than bringing other things of our own newfangled making and thinking. The new liturgy is beautiful when well executed. We have no need to think we can do better or make it more fascinating. It actually gains power from the exploitation of its pauses, its aerated nature, fewer words, well executed, with plenty of time in between. St. Paul seems to be also in the liturgical sphere when he talks to the Corinthians. We have this notion of being baptized into Moses and having a spiritual drink, a spiritual rock which followed them. The rock was Christ, and yet they deflected the graces given to them, and many of them died in the desert. The desert we need especially in Lent. It was in the desert that Moses was called apart. It was in the desert that the purification of the chosen people took place. We need the Spirit to work on us in depth in Lent, and not to crowd the Spirit out with too many things going on. These things all happen as a warning to us. In Lectio we can ask what we need to learn from this. Children of Norwich was shown how providence was at work in all events. We need therefore to be able to read in divine key the meaning of the event. What is God saying to me through this? For all shall be well, all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Meaning by that we are actually on the winning side in every event if we take its grace. It is not just by chance. There is a guiding hand, but we have to go along with what it wants to do. If a death happens, we can rebel against God, or we can accept this grace of being deprived of what might be attaching us to something which is not God Himself. There is always a grace in an event if we know how to get it. So, it was written down to be a lesson for us who are living at the end of the age. There is a fullness in our own time. Indeed, what we are seeing in church life right now has been there a long time. It is a moment of grace. There is a purification happening in this very Lent on the level of the church itself. There was cancer, and at least we can treat it if we know it's there. We need healing. But we must not let what is going on a wider level upset our own individual, for we only have ultimately power of our own soul and our own relationship. It is between us and Jesus. And whatever's going on elsewhere, the burning bush is still there. It is important to focus on it and not on what might or might not be happening outside ourselves, even on the level of the church's problems. After all, we're not God. And if we worry as though we were, it's a form of presumption. Better to focus on Jesus and do simply and very well the one thing necessary that He asks us to do, and the one thing that we can only do, love and adore and gaze. With regard to the need for repentance, lest worse happen to us as we're warned in the Gospel, this does apply. As the fig tree has no effect if it is not collaborating with the care given to it, so too, if we deflect the graces of God, abuse the sacraments, use confession as a slot machine, then we're going to get into that illness that no matter of treating our soul will change it. We just get into mode. We are in charge, I've got my system and I stick with it. Thank you. No progress, no growth. There's no life if there's no growth. Just stagnant behavior. And that might explain actually some of the problems that we see coming to the surface. Life without relationship, being in automatic pilot, even liturgically, sacramentally. The burning bush is on fire. There is life and encounter there, the one who is. And all our Catholic life is to do with the one who is. It's different from that of our Protestant brethren. They, however, do correspond quite often with the graces of the word and prayer that they have, and that we can take from them. As from the East, we can take the burning bush as understood. God is so holy that the holy doors there separate the profane from the sacred. The Sancta Sanctorum they still have, and we need some of that to be recuperated in our Western liturgy. Everyone fumbling into the sanctuary, dressed any old how to do any old thing. Is it of God? Is that what the Council Fathers meant by participation? Active participation is engagement with the burning bush. and there man ceases to be. He gazes and ponders and asks for the word.